Hello everyone, welcome to Dark Souls 2 once more. We are here at the Sinner's Rise to tackle our last and final old one. Eric is currently with me right now, but unfortunately technical difficulties, he can't really say much, but he is here in spirit, which is most important. And yes, I have totally murdered a few of these dudes, mostly because I've just been so excited to finally get done with this area. We have one more old one in our way. Nothing can stop us. Absolutely nothing. Except for maybe an elevator, but thankfully it's right here with us. And if it wasn't, there'd be that switch there'd be a switch we could open. Ironically, this old one is I actually like this old one. I find its gimmick much more enjoyable than the other three. Plus, weirdly enough, its area is actually the shortest, being literally this hallway. In fact, you can see the fog gate at the distance. But on the way, we have ourselves some brand new enemies. These, I guess you can kind of call them artificial undead, I suppose? These are basically, and you probably guessed it, even more experiments of the good old man Aldian. Who is Aldian and what is he for? We'll find out more about him later. All you should know is he experiments on dudes. This is one of his many experimental attempts and failed. What are you trying to do with these guys? I don't know. Infuse dragon DNA with people? I don't know. They seem vaguely dragonish, I suppose. Either way, the main thing with these guys is they have a lot of health. And usually hit like freaking trucks. I used to be terrified of these guys like when I first played, just for how intimidating they were and just, again, how much they could easily destroy my face. But not anymore. Now I just look at them and it's just like a triviality. I'm like, why was I ever scared of them? But if we go around here, I believe this body gives us another sublime bone dust, so later on we'll go to Midgel and upgrade our Estus flask a bit more. And we have just one more of these torrential freaks of nature, so come another of Aldia's failed experiments. He has a lot of them really, but that's here, no there. Just gonna fight him in the water, let him do his flailing nonsense, we can kill him. Basically that's the best way to harm these guys, is goad them into doing an attack and then retaliating basically. Or else that happens. And then you strike back in anger and vengeance, saying, screw you! Well, that's neither here nor there, and finally we get a little item here, which is a large soul of a nameless undead. And because we have the Bastille key, it kind of puts us in a better advantage than as if we were a person who did not. Because if we go up here, past the undead citizens, we get to basically avoid all of these like failed experiments of Aldian. Because we can just simply open one of these doors, as well as the same door there. If we did not have the Bastille key, we'd have to go down here to where that switch is. And really, that's about it. We're basically almost to the old one. And all you gotta do now is just show a few things we can do because of the fact we have the Bastille key, which, if we go up to these particular places, we can open the doors to where we have some particularly peculiar looking pipes of sort where there's oil and whatnot. Nice silky and smooth stone, but if we have a torch on the other hand, we can set fire to this, which seems to be burning inside, which kind of burns the way inside into the boss room. This doesn't seem like it's important, but it is pretty cool. It's a cool feature, and I kind of like it. I'm just going to do it for the time being, because it's a nifty thing that kind of makes this fight a tad bit easier. But it's alright. I think with that said, we should be good. If you go back over there, there's a summon sign with Miss Lucatil, so I think we're going to pick her up real quick. So, we'll be right back. And we are back once more with Miss Lucatil, and without further ado, also because I have the chance, we're going to show numbness, which allows us to increase our defense, but gives us the greatest sense of tunnel vision. So, with that said, to our final old one. Welcome to the Lost Sinner! She who punishes herself for all eternity for attempting to light the first fire. And I am basically going to destroy her face with pursuers. And basically, because of numbness, I'm kind of getting a simulation of the boss fight regardless, to which, ordinarily, you fight her in the dark, to where your vision is normally very limited. But because we've lit those two torches, that's no longer the case. We have a pretty wide and open space to fight her in, as well as one that we can see her clearly without her vanishing out of our sight. Plus, having pursuers is beautiful. Anyway, as for the Lost Sinner herself, she's a very interesting boss. She moves around a lot, doing mostly jump attacks. Most of her actions, she will typically evade every other move she does. Some people originally compared her to Artorias from the first game. I could sort of see that, honestly. She has sort of like that moveset feel, but unfortunately, I made her again look like an even easier fight than she normally is. She's normally like the first of the old ones you face off against, so she's actually she's a much more interesting fight due to the fact that she's actually like really aggressive. And usually you're not overwhelmed, especially trying to fight her in the dark, when she usually, every time she jumps out of the way from her moves, you usually lose the lock on from her. But as neither here nor there, for we've defeated the last of the old ones, and for our efforts we get a fragrant branch of yore and an Elizabethan mushroom. So, without further ado, let us light this bonfire. Final primal bonfire, and see what the Emerald Herald has to say upon our victory. And what do you have to say, madame, I wonder?
You are blessed with a myriad of souls. Bearer of the curse, make your way to the castle.
So yes, with the old ones defeated, she says we are free to go to Drangleic. And I suppose, since this is going to be probably a short episode, I guess it wouldn't hurt us to open the way there, I suppose. We'll open the way to Drangleic and we'll get to the entrance, but we'll call it an episode there because Drangleic is a new place. A new venue for us to explore, so to say. But either so, we are here back in the Shaded Woods, and instead of what we usually go, we're going against what I told you guys before, because I completely lied to you all. We're gonna go to the right path, to which basically lies a bunch of these basically poisonous cannibals, and we're going to utterly destroy all of them, because that's how we roll. This is kind of a new. Feels kind of interesting. It feels liberating now that the old ones are dead, because we're finally going to get to Drangleic. We're gonna finally meet the king, perhaps, and find a cure, maybe. That would be nice for everyone. Said no one ever. Hello? Do excuse me, sir. I was giving false hope to the people. I mean, nothing. Nothing at all. Hey, it's a Flexile Sentry. I believe we murdered you I murdered you just a while ago, didn't I? Oh, we'll just correct that mistake, shall we? That's what I thought. But for killing him once more, we get a Twinkling Titanite. And this corpse gives us the Gold Falcon Shield and the Dragon Slayer's Crescent Axe. That particular axe is kind of an interesting one because it is the same axe that Crichton wields. We'll leave that for you to interpret if you know its lore. But here we are finally at the Shrine of Winter, now with a myriad of souls in our possession. we can actually approach this place, and it will open for us. To which we are revealed to a sort of interesting effigy that we saw before in the Black Gulch, didn't we? Probably nothing. Maybe. But the Shrine of Winter, here we are at the Shrine of Winter. It's a very brief, very small area. Not a whole lot going for it. Also, may or may not also contain a Haydnite. That we are just basically going to completely kill. Why? Because I am evil! Especially if you haven't caught on to this fact, I am completely sorry, but we're not the heroes, we are the villains. At least one of the villains. But for killing this Hayd Knight, even though he has a sword, we acquired ourselves the Hayd Lance, which introduces to a new weapon type, the Lance, which is basically, I would say basically the halberd version of a spear. Basically is a power of, they're basically spears that mostly primarily on heavier thrusts, but again, they work like halberds in which if you do not hit anyone, you sort of kind of sputter and your combos kind of move a bit slower. But that's mostly from what I've seen. I've never really tested lances out, so I wouldn't know. So don't take my word. So don't take my word 100% in that case. But now that we are in more of a heavy rain of sorts, we have more of the Royal Swordsmen from the Lost Bastille. It's like I mentioned they were part of the army or something. I wonder what that could possibly mean. Why, like, we're seeing more of Vendrick's soldiers or something. I'll give you a good hint. A very, very good hint. And word for the wise. Welcome to Drangleic Castle, everyone! After all this time, we have finally made it to our destination. The place we have been told about since the beginning of our journey. Where a curse supposedly lays, but also the Emerald Herald, strangely enough. But we will leave Drangleic Castle for next time. So, until then, we will leave her words to end this off.
This castle is isolated. But nonetheless, you must forge on. To bring an end to your journey and mine.